We've seen Manchester City being in a terrible position after losing some of their very important players. Right now we are talking about Manchester City playing without one of their key players in the midfield, Rodri. And Manchester City are not giving us excuses. Right now Liverpool are playing their games without their key goalkeeper in the team. Then there is Arsenal. What I'm trying to say in this video is Arsenal should stop giving us excuses and find a way of winning their games when their key players are not in the team. Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard not playing in that game against Bournemouth and again William Saliba send-off will not be enough reasons as to why Arsenal lost their game to Bournemouth. Arsenal that we're expecting them to be challenging Pep Guardiola's Manchester City for the Premier League title. How are you going to be challenging Pep Guardiola's Manchester City for the Premier League title and now Liverpool, who are doing really well in their games, and you are giving us excuses as to why you are not winning some of your very winnable games? Playing against Bournemouth was a very winnable game for Arsenal, and they should have got the 3 points. Arsenal are now giving us reasons as to why they are not winning some of their games. Their game against Brighton, they were given a red card. Their game against Manchester City, another red card. Their game against Bournemouth, another red card. Arsenal will be facing Liverpool in their next Premier League game with the absence of William Saliba in their defense line. Will Arsenal continue giving us excuses, or they should start finding a way of winning games with or without their key players in the team? We've seen Manchester City being in a terrible position after losing some of their very important players. A good example last season, Manchester City losing Erling Haaland and KDB in their team was never an easy thing for Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola did the math, and someone like Phil Foden came into the KDB's position. And we saw Manchester City winning their games, and they ended up winning the Premier League title, even after losing some of their very important players in between the season. Right now, we are talking about Manchester City playing without one of their key players in the midfield, Rodri. And Manchester City are not giving us excuses. They're fixing their problems, and we've seen Manchester City winning games. Then there is Arsenal. Instead of fixing their problems and winning games, they're starting to give us excuses the same way they did last season. Arsenal gave us an excuse of William Saliba not being in the team after his injury in the game against Lisbon. Arsenal gave us an excuse of Jaren Timber not being in the team, and that's the reason as to why Arsenal didn't make to win the Premier League title last season. During the transfer window, we've seen Arsenal signing players into the team, which means Arsenal fixed their problem during the transfer window. They signed the players they need in the team when some players are resting in some games. Arsenal have many games throughout the season, and some of their very important players, some of their key players will be resting. Bukayo Saka will be resting, Martinelli will be resting, Gabriel will be resting, Declan Rice will be resting. Arsenal trying to tell us in each and every game that their key players will be resting, they'll be losing those games. Arsenal signed Raheem Sterling into the team, which means when Bukayo Saka is resting or when Bukayo Saka is not around, Raheem Sterling will be taking the position. Raheem Sterling is one of the best players we've seen him performing in the Premier League. He has been in the Premier League forever. He knows the back of the net and is capable of scoring goals for Arsenal when Bukayo Saka is not around. And so Arsenal should not be giving us excuses as to why they are not scoring goals when Bukayo Saka is not around. And if you don't trust Raheem Sterling, okay, then why did you even sign the player into the team in the first place? Again, they have one of the best young talented players in the team, Nathan Nwaneri. If you don't trust Raheem Sterling, why don't you let Nathan Nwaneri play in that position when Bukayo Saka is resting? What I'm trying to say in this video is Arsenal should stop giving us excuses and find a way of winning their games when their key players are not in the team. Arsenal should stop giving us excuses and find a way of winning their very important games when their key players are resting. You're not going to be challenging Pep Guardiola's Manchester City for the Premier League title, and you are giving us excuses in October. It is very early for Arsenal to give us excuses as to why they are not winning some of the very important winnable games. Losing their game against Bournemouth is not even a good sign for Arsenal. It doesn't qualify Arsenal to one of the teams who are challenging for the Premier League title. These other teams are doing really well, and they are not giving us excuses as to why they are not winning some of their games. I'm talking about Liverpool and Manchester City. They have a trophy winning mentality, and if they are lacking some of their key players in the team, they have to find a way of fixing their problem without any excuse. Right now, Liverpool are playing their games without their key goalkeeper in the team. They're fixing problems and making sure they're getting everything right in the team. Manchester City, the same thing, and it is now time for Arsenal. It is just October and we are seeing some instability in the Arsenal team. Is it pressure building up already for Arsenal, or it is just fatigue? Because some of the things we are seeing in this Arsenal team It doesn't make Arsenal to look like one of the teams they're challenging for the Premier League title. Their key players getting red cards, Declan Rice, Trossard, and now they'll be facing Liverpool without William Saliba in the team. Players not taking their time and making the right decision. What Martinelli did in their game against Bournemouth is a clear evidence that Arsenal players are in panic and they are not taking their time to make the right decisions. Martinelli should have scored a goal for Arsenal. If he could have taken his time against Bournemouth and be the player that we know Martinelli is. Martinelli is one of the players who is always scoring goals for Arsenal. William Saliba, from being one of the best defenders in the Premier League, calm, mature, composed defender, to a red card owner. It shows that Arsenal are together and pressure is building up already in the team. Let us know what you think about Arsenal performance at the comment section down below. Do you think Arsenal will make to challenge Pep Guardiola's Manchester City for the Premier League title? And again, we've seen Liverpool doing really well, and maybe they'll be competing with Arsenal to challenge Pep Guardiola for the Premier League title. Like this video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't, because what are you doing with your life? Subscribe to our channel. We'll see you on our next one. Till then, stay safe.